Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff White, Jeff White Fitness Solutions. Okay, so thanks for checking out this video. And today, we're going to go over the World Economic Forum and their 8 predictions for the world in 2030. Now, mind you, they made these predictions back in 2016. 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago. These are the same people who said you will own nothing and be happy. Now, a lot of people may not go to their website and check out what they're saying. And I'm going to post a link to the site, but it's very important that you look at their 8 predictions that they made, and we can look at them today and see where they stand. And I'm going to let you decide for yourself what you think, how they are doing with their predictions. So, as always, please like and subscribe to the channel, and please leave a comment because I think this is a very important topic. Okay, guys, let's get started. Okay, guys, so we're going to start with the first one here, and then I'm just going to have a couple of screenshots of some current events to see how they coincide. All right, so let's read the first one. The first prediction: all products will become services. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or clothes. And it's from Danish MP Ida Alkin. Shopping is a distant memory in the city of 2030, whose inhabitants have cracked clean energy and borrow what they need on demand. It sounds utopian until she mentions that her every move is tracked, and outside the city live swaths of discontents, the ultimate depiction of a society split in two. That's a whole lot right there in that first prediction that you really have to keep reading to really get a full feel for it. And they say own nothing. Well, if you guys know, here in the United States, Wall Street firms are buying up a lot of single family homes. If you tried to buy a home within the last year or two, you saw it was really hard to buy homes because someone was buying them cash. It was Wall Street firms. And now these firms are not selling those homes, they are renting them out. So that's just one example. Now, I could be posting a lot, but we have to go through 8 of these predictions, so we're just going to kind of skim through and highlight. But I think you get the idea that they are trying to make these thoughts come true. All right, guys, so here's prediction number 2 that they made back in 2016. And it says there is a global price on carbon. China took the lead in 2017 with a market for trading the right to emit a ton of CO2, setting the world on a path towards a single carbon price and a powerful incentive to ditch fossil fuels. Europe, meanwhile, found itself at the center of the trade in cheap, efficient solar panels as prices for renewables fell sharply. So they basically want to move away from fossil fuels. Now, if you've been following what's going on over in Europe, you can see that they are going to have a major energy crisis because of circumstances we won't really discuss. But look at these headlines that I have here. President Biden sets 2030 greenhouse gas pollution reduction target. And we also know that they have shut down oil production in the United States. And we also know how Europe is shutting down nuclear power plants. This all coincides with this prediction that the WEF made back in 2016. And let's not forget the push for electric cars as well. So there's a lot going on right now. Okay, guys, this prediction is a big one. This is a big one. And it says U.S. dominance is over. We have a handful of global powers. Nation states will have staged a comeback. And instead of a single force, a handful of countries, the US, Russia, China, Germany, India, and Japan, chief among them, show semi imperial tendencies. However, at the same time, the role of the state is threatened by trends including the rise of cities and the spread of online identities. So this one is tricky, but it says here the era of U.S. dominance is over. That's huge because we can see what's going on with the conflict with the U.S. and the country in the East and the country in the West. And we also have the BRICS nations coming together to dethrone the US dollar. They said this back in 2016. Now, I was on another channel. I had a nice chat on parallel systems last week. And I, this is my own personal opinion, but I believe that this war that we see right now could very well be part of the 2030 agenda. I don't have any proof of that except for what I'm reading here in their prediction. But there's a chance that this war is playing a role in this 2030 agenda. And just like in World War II, when all those countries were at each other's throats and people felt they could never reconcile and become allies again, or at least work together, I believe that there could be some type of reconciliation, some type of treaty. These countries could eventually start working together again, and they will help implement the new 2030 agenda. I could be wrong, but none of this makes sense. Absolutely none of it. But they predicted this back in 2016. Okay, so back in 2016, they said farewell hospital, hello homespital. Technology will have further disrupted disease. The hospital as we know it will be on its way out with fewer accidents thanks to self-driving cars and great strides in preventative and personalized medicine. Scalpels and organ donors are out, tiny robotic tubes and bioprinted organs are in. Now, I don't see that honestly right now, but what I do see are hospitals having some severe staff shortages. I've also heard about hospital emergency room waiting times being 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 hours long. And I'm also seeing shortages in different medications. So I don't fully see this one, but I do see some type of transition going on in the healthcare system. And I also noticed that Walmart has opened some urgent care facilities right there in their super centers. So there's some type of transition going on, and I want to watch this one very closely because this is not my area of expertise. I don't really follow the medical industry as far as technology that much, but if they said this back in 2016, this is something we definitely need to be paying attention to. And don't get sick either, by the way. Again, it's really hard to believe they said this back in 2016. And if you would have read this back then, you may think, yeah, well, whatever, because I'm eating meat. I like meat. It's in the store. I'm good. But here we are. It says here, we are eating much less meat. Rather like our grandparents, we will treat meat as a treat rather than a staple. It won't be big agriculture or little artisan producers that win, but rather a combination of the two, with convenience food redesigned to be healthier and less harmful to the environment. That's a big one, y'all. That's huge. So you can say, well, how would they get rid of the meat? Well, very easily. They are culling chickens. They are making it really hard for farmers to grow cattle. They're doing a lot. We are seeing food processing plants around the world that are accidentally catching on fire and being destroyed. And then we have a large grocery chain that is going to start selling bugs as a substitute to help poor people through the winter. I got no words for this one, y'all, but this is huge. And this is just another reason to stock up on food. Remember, they said this back in 2016, so they've been thinking about this for a very long time. Okay, guys, we are on number 6, and it says today's Syrian refugees 2030 CEOs. Highly educated Syrian refugees will have come of age by 2030. making the case for the economic integration of those who have been forced to flee conflict. Flee conflict. Do we have any conflict going on around the world right now? Yes, we do. The world needs to be better prepared for population on the move. As climate change will have displaced 1 billion people, climate change displaced 1 billion people. That's an interesting one. Climate change displacing 1 billion people. I didn't put this on here, but we've been having a lot of droughts lately. Do you think people will move because there's no water in their area? I think they would. Do you think people would move because of war? I think they would. So, what I have here is stories about illegal immigration and how people are um, going into other countries illegally. And I just have the United States here. So that's just something to think about. And I know it says Syrian refugees, but I think this can apply to all different types of people and countries and nationalities. So this is another one to pay very close attention to as well. Okay, guys, we're up to number 7. And I think this one is going to be subjective. I think you can draw your own opinion on what this means. But it says the values that built the West will have been tested to breaking point. We'll forget the checks and balances that bolster our democracies at our peril. And this is from Kenneth Roth, Executive Director of Human Rights Watch. So, what I have here is just a couple of things. There's a lot going on in the United States. We have the cancel culture. We have the defund the police. We have the transgender rights, where transgender um, men who are transitioning to women are able to participate in women's sports. And we had the Supreme Court justice um, during her confirmation or during her interview by the Senate say she could not define what a woman was. So there's a lot going on, and I think that's just really testing, the culture, the American culture, and testing different ideologies. So, like I say, that one is purely subjective, but I see a lot of turmoil and people at each other's throats because they don't think the same way. And I think this is another big one that we are dealing with right now in our own way. So, another one we need to pay attention to. Guys, we're at number 8, the last one. So, let's see what this one is. And it says by the 2030s, we'll be ready to move humans toward the red planet. Once more, once we get there, we'll probably discover evidence of alien life. Big science will help us to answer big questions about life on Earth, as well as opening up practical applications for space technology. Now, we are a ways off from getting to the red planet, but they say by the 2030s, that's plural. So that could be 2032, 2035, whatever. But let's look at what's going on today. We have Elon Musk sending people out into space. We have the Mars rovers um, going all over the planet, and they recently said they found water deep below the surface of Mars. So we are moving in that direction. This is not really mainstream news yet, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes about space and space exploration and a lot of interest in Mars. Now, I believe all of this ties into this agenda by the WEF, and that's all 8 right there. So I believe each of these are being worked on and implemented right now. But see, what scares me is they talked about this. They wrote this in 2016, but that means they thought about it and started working on it well before 2016. We are now in 2022, and you can't tell me you can't see some of these things going on right now. Okay, guys, so that is their predictions that they made back in 2016. And I keep harping on 2016 because that was almost 7 years ago. So they planned this out. And I want you to make up your own mind and tell me what you think. What does your gut tell you. So whether you believe this is part of their agenda or their agenda is coming true, what we need to do, in my opinion, is pay close attention to everything that's going on around us. And that means avoid the distractions. Mainstream media will have you thinking about all types of crazy stuff. At that end of the day means absolutely nothing. But we must pay attention to the rising cost of food, inflation, wars going on around the world, the energy crisis, droughts. Those are things we need to pay attention to. You need to pay attention to your job too. Do you have a job? Will your job be there tomorrow? That's what you need to pay attention to, and govern yourself accordingly and do what you need to do. So here's some things that we need to start doing right now. You got to stock up on your water, your medicine, your security, and your food, and that is especially protein and meat, because I don't want to eat bugs. That's not my thing. But if you want to eat crickets and Lord knows what else, hey, have at it. You can have my share. Next thing you want to do is get out of debt. Own your own stuff. Debt will destroy you. I have an old truck and I haven't had a car note in like 10 years. I just had a major repair bill, but I gladly paid it because I do not want a car note. I would rather have $2 in my pocket and not have to worry about the repo man coming after my stuff. I'm just keeping it real. Next, get physical gold and silver. I did not talk about this in this video because it doesn't apply to the 2030 agenda specifically, but that central bank digital currency is coming. Um, the dollar might lose its world reserve currency status, and so you want to make sure you can protect your wealth and your assets and be able to survive and get through to the next um, phase of the world. And next, last but certainly not least, we must come together as a people. We got to stop arguing, y'all. We got to stop bickering and being mad at each other over the most trivial things. I know a lot of people on edge right now. A lot of people are stressed out, but I think that stress and having us on edge is all by design. And then, of course, if there's an Adderall shortage, that's just a whole nother can of worms. But people, pay attention to what's going on. Let's come together and see how we can help each other overcome all this negativity and ridiculous nonsense that we're dealing with. There's too much going on for us to be fighting each other. We need to come together, because if we can come together as a people, I don't care what your race is. I don't care how you classify yourself. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care how much money you make or don't make. We have to come together, people. Our lives, our future depends on it. Stop the bickering. We must come together, because if this 2030 agenda is true, this is downright sinister and nasty. And the more we fight each other, the less chance we have of coming together to overcoming whatever they have in store for us. So again, let's talk about it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you disagree, let me know what you disagree about. If you agree, let me know what you agree with. And let's talk about ways we can help each other. All right, guys. Take care. Peace.